Did you know? Neon Genesis Evangelion, or Shinseki Evangelion, is a Japanese mecha anime television series produced by Gainax, animated by Tatsunoko Productions, and directed by Hideaki Anno. It was broadcast on TV Tokyo from October 1995 to March 1996. The story is set 15 years after a worldwide cataclysm in the futuristic fortified city of Tokyo 3. The protagonist is Shinji Ikari, a teenage boy recruited by his father Gendo Ikari to the mysterious organization NERV. Shinji must pilot an Evangelion, a giant biomechanical mecha, to fight beings known as angels. The series explores the experiences and emotions of the Evangelion pilots and NERV members as they battle angels. The series has been described as a deconstruction of the mecha-genre, and features archetypal imagery derived from Shinto cosmology and mystical Judeo-Christian traditions, including midrashic tales and Kabbalah. Anno has described Shinji as a boy who shrinks from human contact and has convinced himself that he is a completely unnecessary person. Director Hideaki Anno fell into a depression following the completion of work on Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, and the 1992 failure of the Royal Space Force, The Wings of Honeyamiss. According to Yasuhiro Takeda, Anno agreed to a collaboration between King Records and Gainax while drinking with King representative Toshimichi Osuki. King Records guaranteed Anno a time slot for anything. Anno began the development of the new series in 1993 around the notion of not running away, which had been the underlying theme of Euro in Blue, which focused on a protagonist accustomed to avoiding personal responsibility who finds himself trying to save the heroine of the story. Early into the production, he stated his intent to have Evangelion increase the number of anime fans, named otaku in Japanese, and attract interest in the anime medium, bringing a breath of fresh air to the mecha genre. In the early design phase of the Evangelion project, several formats were considered, including a film, a television series, and an original video animation series. The producers finally opted for the television series, as it was the most widely accessible media in Japan at that time. Anno also originally proposed the title Alshin for the new series, but this was rejected due to its lack of hard consonant sounds. He conceived the series as a metaphor of his 4-year depression, as he tried to put his whole self into the work and imprint his own feelings on the film. Critics noted how Evangelion borrowed certain scenarios and the use of introspection as a narrative device from a previous Anno project entitled Gunbuster. He also incorporated the narrative structure of Nadia and multiple frames of reference, leaving the story open to interpretation. The production was complex and saw several changes to the scenario initially imagined by Gainax. A female protagonist was initially proposed for the series, but the idea was scrapped. In the first scenario, the first episode presented the battle between an angel and Rei, while the character of Shinji was only introduced after the angel had been temporarily defeated. Further changes to the plot were made following the Aum Shinrikyo sect's sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway in March. Cultural critic Hiroki Azuma has said that the original Evangelion story was too close to reality, from Anno's point of view. Anno thought that the original scenario was not suitable for broadcasting, and he feared censorship. However, he also criticized Aum Shinrikyo, because they lost any contact with reality. For this reason, the development of the Neon Genesis Evangelion series ran close to deadlines throughout its production run. The initial cuts of the first 2 episodes were screened at the second Gainax Festival in July 1995, only 3 months before they were aired on television. By the 13th episode, Lilliputian Hitcher, the series began to deviate significantly from the original story, and the initial project was abandoned. The number of angels was reduced to 17 instead of the original 28. The writers also changed the story's ending, which had originally described the failure of the Human Instrumentality Project after an angel attack from the moon. Not only did the series suffer from scheduling issues, but according to Anno, despite Gainax being the lead studio for the series, the company itself had inadequate materials and staff for the full production of the series. Only 3 staff members from Gainax were working on the series at any given time, and the majority of the series production was outsourced to Tatsunoko Production. References to mystical traditions in Judaism and Christianity, including Midrashic literature and Kabbalah, are threaded liberally through the series. Complicating viewers' attempts to form an unambiguous interpretation, the series reworks Midrash stories, Zohar images, and other Kabbalistic ideas developed from the Book of Genesis to create a new Evangelion-specific mythology. The plot also combines elements of esotericism and mysticism of the Jewish Kabbalah, including the angels, which have common and individual features with the angels of the religious tradition, such as Sakiel, Sandalphon, and Ramiel. Assistant director Kanzuya Tsurumaki stated the religious visual references were intended to make the series more interesting and exotic for a Japanese audience. According to Anno, as the symbols are mixed together, for the first time something like an interrelationship or a meaning emerges. According to Patrick Drazen, numerous allusions to the Kojiki and the Nihongi have a prominent role in Evangelion, along with the Shinto vision of the primordial cosmos and the mythical lances of the Shinto deities. Elements of the Judeo-Christian tradition also feature prominently throughout the series, including references to Adam, Lilith, Eve, the Lance of Longinus, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Kabbalistic concept of Adam Kadmon, and the Tree of Life. The merging of all human souls into one through the Human Instrumentality Project at the end of the series has been compared to the Kabbalistic concept of Tikkun Olam. The Evangelions have been likened to the golem of Jewish folklore, and their visual design resembles the traditional depictions of Oni, Japanese demons, or ogres. Neon Genesis Evangelion has been interpreted as a deeply personal expression of Hideaki Anno's own emotional struggles with depression. During the production of the series, he became interested in mental illness and psychology. According to him, Rei is a schizophrenic character and a representation of Shinji's unconscious, while Shinji has an Oedipus complex and is characterized by a libido-destrudo conflict. Similarly, Ritsuko has an Electra complex, in which she loves Gendo, a sort of substitute for her father figure. Anno himself stated that he identifies with Shinji in both a conscious and unconscious manner, while Rei is Anno's deepest part and Kaworu his Jungian shadow. Shinji's entering into Unit 01 has been interpreted as a Freudian return to the womb, and his struggle to be free of the Eva as his rite of passage into manhood. The series also contains references to philosophical and psychoanalytic concepts, such as the oral stage, introjection, oral personality, ambivalence, and the death drive, including elements of the works of Sigmund Freud, Arthur Schopenhauer, and Soren Kierkegaard. The psychoanalytic accounts of human behavior put forward by Freud and Jung are prominently featured. Hideaki Anno attempted to create characters that reflected parts of his own personality. The characters of Evangelion struggle with their interpersonal relationships, their personal problems, and traumatic events in their past. The human qualities of the characters have enabled some viewers of the show to identify with the characters on a personal level, while others interpret them as historical, religious, or philosophical symbols. Shinji Ikari is the series protagonist and the designated pilot of Evangelion Unit 01. After witnessing his mother Yui Ikari's death as a child, Shinji is abandoned by his father, Gendo Ikari. He is emotionally hypersensitive and sometimes does as expected out of fear of rejection, but he has often rebelled and refused to pilot the Eva because of the excruciating harm that has been done to him or to his friends. Throughout the series, he says to himself, "I mustn't run away," as a means of encouraging himself to face the threats of the day, and this sometimes actually gives him bravery in battle, but he has a lingering habit of withdrawing in response to traumatic events.